Ever had that magical sensation of being treated like a disposable piece of styrofoam by the woman you were interested in? That heartwarming moment when you realize you rank lower in her world than a random spam text from your phone carrier. You send her a message and get deafening silence. You try to make small talk, and she replies with the enthusiasm of someone reading a medication insert. You invite her out, and she disappears faster than a person spotting an overdue bill. And here's the real tragedy. You're stuck there, like some needy teenager, staring at your phone screen as if it's an oracle, waiting for a sign of life that never shows up. Then you find yourself asking the million-dollar question. What did I do wrong? Well, buckle up, my friend, because here comes the slap in the face. Your mistake was caring way too much. You know what happens when a guy puts a woman on a pedestal, treats her like a priority, tries to be sweet, understanding, and always available? He becomes a dull little teddy bear, a disposable accessory, a nobody. Now think about it with me, if you can, of course. How many times have you seen a woman chasing after a guy who barely cares she exists? And how many times have you seen her valuing a guy who's desperately begging for scraps of attention? Exactly. The answer is as obvious as your lack of self-respect. If you want her to at least notice you exist, if you want to stop being her emotional spare tire, do yourself a favor. Vanish from her life and focus on yourself. And that's exactly what I'm going to teach you right now. Today you'll learn, step by step, how to stop being an emotional doormat and become the guy she will chase after. But first, let me remind you that this video is only here because someone before you was kind enough to like and subscribe. So do the bare minimum, okay? Drop a like, subscribe, and leave a little comment saying something like, appreciation, just to pretend you learned something. Not for me, I couldn't care less, but for the algorithm. Because without it, this content won't reach more lost souls like you. Alright, enough drama. Let's get to the good stuff. Number 1. The fatal mistake that turns you into a doormat. Congratulations, you did it. You earned the status of being treated like nothing, an emotional doormat, the guy who's only there to fill her boredom when no one else is giving her the time of day. And all because you care too much. Now tell me, what exactly have you been doing to become so invisible to this woman? Imagine this depressing scenario. You meet a woman. At first, it's all fairy tale vibes. She replies fast, seems interested, gives you hope. Until suddenly the magic fades. Her responses get shorter, your invitations get ignored, and before you know it, she vanishes from your life faster than a buddy who hears you need to borrow money. And what do? Obviously, you send another message, and another, and another. Because, who knows? Maybe she just hasn't seen it yet. You try to figure out what happened. You truly believe you can fix it, that maybe she just needs to see how much you care. And that, my dear friend, is your biggest mistake. Every single time you insist, chase, or try to woo back a woman who's already dropped you into emotional purgatory, you put yourself in the weak position. Let's face it, no woman feels attracted to a weak man. Why does this happen? Simple. People only value what they're afraid of losing. If you're always available, always there, ready to give attention, love, and affection, you hold no value to her. You're like a cheap party favor. It's fun in the moment, but quickly tossed into the junk drawer afterward. And the worst part, the more she ignores you, the harder you try to prove you're different. You fall into a little game where she has all the control and you, well, you're just reacting, like a puppy begging for table scraps. And that's right where respect dies. She might keep talking to you, but not because she feels anything. Because you're convenient. Now let's do a quick test. Do you really think she forgot to reply by accident? Think she's just too busy? Want to hear a painful truth? When a woman wants a man, she finds a way. If she isn't putting in the effort to keep you in her life, it means you've already lost your value to her. And if you still keep insisting, sending her messages, asking if she's okay, inviting her out, congratulations, you're digging your own emotional grave with your bare hands. And you know what happens when you turn into this living cliche of desperation? She uses you. Plain and simple. You become that plan B, who's only there for when she has nothing better to do. You're her backup entertainment, the clown on call. And a guy like that? He's never genuinely desired. So tell me, do you want to keep playing this humiliating role as an emotional doormat? Or do you want to flip the script and make her miss you? If the second option makes sense to you, then pay attention to the next step, because I'm about to show you how to get out of this pathetic position and turn the dynamics in your favor. Number 2, the alpha level detachment mindset. Still brooding over that woman like she's some traumatic event? Still thinking she's the one and that the universe cruelly separated you? Well, have a seat, because we need to recalibrate that deluded little head of yours. If you really want to flip this game, you've got to change how you see yourself, first and foremost. Because as long as you keep believing this woman is some mystical rarity, a legendary Pokemon you have to hunt down, you're going to keep losing. Here's the truth no one tells you. Detachment isn't just ignoring her for the sake of ignoring her. It's not playing that childish game of, I'll disappear so she'll miss me. Real detachment is understanding that the real prize here is you. Now for the golden question, do you see yourself as the prize? Because honestly, if you did, you wouldn't be whining over a woman right now. Think about the guys who truly light that spark of desire in women. Are they sitting around, writing emotional paragraphs, checking if they've been left on red, trying to convince someone to give them a chance? Obviously not. They're busy living life. They know that if one woman's not interested, there's a line of others who are. That's the game you need to learn to play. And the first step is simple. Delete her from your mind. But it's hard. Everything reminds me of her. Dude, you know what's actually hard? Paying bills, waking up early for work, sticking to a diet, not letting go of someone who already tossed you aside. So tell me this, what exactly are you losing? A woman who ignored you, who didn't respect your time and effort? Or are you missing the chance to become the kind of man no woman would ever dare to snub? That's the real question. The alpha level detachment mindset isn't just, oh, I stopped chasing her. It's being the kind of guy who never again needs to chase anyone. And that only happens when you grasp these 3 points. A woman can never be your top priority. You have to be your top priority. If she blew you off, that's her problem. You've got more important things to do. When you stop caring, you suddenly become more interesting, because whatever is scarce is more valuable. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the decisive moment, the critical point, the holy grail of male dignity. Let me introduce you to the screw it and move on technique. It goes like this. She ignores you, greet her with total silence. She disappears, you disappear twice as hard. She disrespects you, disrespect her better. Simple, effective, relentless. Now, before you start whining, but isn't that just playing games? Pay attention. This is not about revenge. It's not childish. This, my friend, is plain psychology. Because the only way for a woman to truly value you is for her to realize loud and clear that your world doesn't revolve around her. And here's what happens when you start acting like this. She notices your absence. She realizes you weren't guaranteed after all. She starts wondering, wait, where's that fool who was always chasing me? And guess what? The female mind hates losing control. If you were the guy she could count on to be there, ever so patient and ready to be ignored, and suddenly you vanish, she feels it. And that's when the script starts to flip. Now pay attention, because in the next step, I'm going to show you exactly how to apply this technique so that she finally sees you in a whole new light. And if you're tired of being her doormat, tired of being that loser who'll take any crumb she offers and still gets kicked aside whenever she feels like it, then my friend, wake up! It's time to stop swallowing disrespect and start playing this game the right way. Head to the description and download the digital book I left for you. After you read it, you'll learn how to become a real challenge, never bow your head again, and put any woman in her place without mercy. Stop letting people walk all over you. Stop being discarded like a dirty napkin. The script is flipping, and now you're in charge. Number 3, practical application. How to disappear from her life and drive her crazy. Now that your mind has been effectively reset, and you've realized you're no one's doormat, it's time to take action. And there's no room here for hesitation, slip-ups, or your fragile emotions asking, does she miss me? Either you truly disappear or you remain the same clown as before. Listen up. Disappearing isn't just about not texting her anymore. Disappearing means becoming completely out of reach, yet impossible to forget. And to pull this off, you're going to follow 3 key steps. Step 1, cut off all contact. And when I say all contact, I mean all. No messages, no likes on her social media, no watching her stories, no lurking on her profile like some washed-up detective. You know the biggest mistake most guys make? They say they're going to vanish, but keep monitoring the woman. They open up her profile every hour, analyzing each post like they're in the FBI, waiting for some divine sign that she remembered they exist. Then she posts some random story, maybe her coffee or a sunset, and the guy freaks out, itching to react. And worse, sometimes he even sends that classic, "Hey, long time no see? Congratulations, you just proved you learned nothing and are still the same predictable fool."
So, what truly messes with her head?
Total silence. She needs to feel a vacuum. She needs to wonder, wait, where's that naive guy who was always tailing me? And trust me, she will notice. Women know when a guy disappears. They notice when a guy stops trying. And that flips one of the biggest mental switches. The fear of loss. Now hold tight, because in the next step, I'll show you how to turn that absence into desire. Step 2, focus on you with obsessive intensity. And here's where we separate real men from emotional losers. Because disappearing just for the sake of it won't help. If you fade out but stay the same needy, forgettable, dull guy, congratulations, you're just an invisible doormat now. The trick is in the transformation. From today on, all the energy you wasted on this woman goes straight into one target. You. Train. Your body can't just be a coat rack for heartbreak. Make money. Status matters more than your mushy heart. Expand your connections. Go out. Meet new people. Broaden your circle. And why does this work? Because a man who disappears and comes back better than before becomes unforgettable. She'll see you growing without her. She'll notice your life went on without a scratch. And you know what that does? It burns her ego. Because, in her little world, you were supposed to be crying, begging, crawling. But instead you vanished, and when you re-emerged, you were a guy 100 times more impressive. Step 3. Be seen, but stay unreachable. Now for the knockout punch. The strategic move. The psychological checkmate. After some time off the grid, you need to show that your life is fantastic. But without overdoing it. No petty hints, no teenage drama posts. Because here's where 90% of guys mess up. They post cringe quotes like, "I appreciate those who appreciate me." Bro, embarrassing. They act like, "Look how happy I am," yet all they do is think of her. They try to get her attention directly and ruin everything. You're going to do it differently. You're just going to live in such a badass way that she can't ignore you. How? Simple. Post a photo of yourself looking sharp, no cheesy caption. Be seen in interesting places, actually enjoying yourself. Connect with new people, especially other women. And here's the golden rule. Do not text her first. Eventually, she'll start missing you. She'll wonder what happened. And sooner or later, she'll resurface. But here's the big question. What do you do when she finally comes back? That's the moment for the final checkmate. In the next section, I'll show you exactly how to handle that scenario. And if you're done being her doormat, done being the sucker who accepts any crumb and still gets tossed aside whenever she feels like it, then, my dear friend, it's time to step up. Number 4, the final checkmate. How to react when she comes back. Now the tables have turned. You vanished. She felt your absence. Her ego started to itch. Then one fine day, like clockwork, she reappears. It might be subtle, just to test the waters. A random, "Hey stranger," a random like on your photo. A small reaction to your stories. Or she might be more direct. "Wow, you forgot about me? You just disappeared out of nowhere? I thought you'd never speak to me again." So now what, buddy? What do you do? First, let's clarify what you do not do. Don't reply immediately, like a puppy welcoming its long-lost owner. Don't show relief or gratitude like, "Oh, finally!" Don't go right back to being your old doormat self. Because if she senses she still controls you, guess what? She'll lose interest again, and all your hard work will go down the drain. So, now that you understand the power of detachment, here's how to deliver the finishing blow. Step 1. Don't respond right away. If she messages you, wait. You don't have to ghost her for days. That can feel staged. But at least 4 to 6 hours is enough to send her ego into a tailspin. That shows you have your own life, that she is not your top priority. And if it's just a random like or story reaction, ignore it completely. Act as if you didn't even notice. Because that triggers something in her mind. Wait, why isn't he replying? Did he lose interest? Is he with someone else? And my friend, the moment a woman starts asking herself what you're up to, she's already invested emotionally. Now sit tight, because in the next step, I'll show you how to keep playing this like a pro and have her genuinely chasing you. Step 2. Test her level of interest. So you held your ground, didn't reply like a wagging puppy. Great. Next up is to gauge how interested she actually is. Because there are 2 possibilities here. She genuinely missed you and wants to reconnect. She's just checking her own ego, seeing if you're still on her hook. If it's the second one, you can't take the bait. So, when you finally do respond, keep it short and straightforward. No emotional outpouring, no needy questions, no sounding relieved. If she says, "Hey stranger, where have you been?" your response should be casual, no desperation. "All good here, just busy. Been caught up in a few projects. What's up?" If she asks, "Why'd you disappear?" don't give her a whole emotional TED talk. "I've been focused on some stuff. Time flew by." Simple, direct, no drama. Now watch how she reacts. If she keeps the conversation going, asks about your life, shows genuine interest, that's a good sign. If her replies are cold or super short, do not try to keep the chat alive. Why? Because if she's only come back to stroke her own ego and you bite, she'll lose interest again. The secret is flipping the game. She now has to feel she needs to earn your attention. Step 3. Be the prize, not the trophy. She's already won. Now here's the cherry on top. If she's genuinely interested, she'll show it. She'll keep the conversation going. Try to see you. Make an effort to reconnect. Here's where you maintain the prize mentality. Let her suggest meeting up first. Don't act overly excited. Don't be predictable. And most importantly, do not revert to your old self. If you followed all these steps, vanished, improved yourself, and came back stronger, now it's her turn to prove her worth. Because the game has changed. You are in control now. Number 5, be the man she'll always want. Now you see the system. You've realized you don't have to chase anyone because the real power is in not giving a damn. But here's the final question. How do you make sure you never end up in this position again? Because, let's be honest, the goal isn't just to make this one woman miss you. The goal is to become the kind of man who's never sidelined the same way again. A man every woman wants, but only a few can actually get. And for that, you need a lifestyle that always keeps you in the driver's seat. Let me break it down. Step 1. Build a life that naturally attracts women. Men who spark the most desire don't rely on mind games. Just by being themselves, they create attraction. What do they do differently? They have a purpose. They have options. They don't make women the center of their universe. If your entire life revolves around a woman, you've already lost. If you're busy growing, evolving, and focusing on your goals, you literally don't have time to suffer over a woman who ghosted you. And guess what happens when you become that guy? Women pick up on your high value. And guess what? They want to be part of your life. Step 2. Never again. Be the guy who begs for attention. Women sense when a guy needs validation. And guess what happens to a guy who depends on her attention to feel okay? He's already lost. The key is asking yourself, if this woman disappears, is my life still amazing? If the answer is yes, you're already winning. Because real confidence doesn't come from cheesy one-liners. Real confidence comes from knowing you'll be okay, with or without her. And ironically, when you adopt that mindset, women start fighting to be in your life. Step 3. Understand that power always belongs to the one with more options. The golden rule of relationships is simple. Whoever has more options holds the power. If you're putting all your chips on one woman as your only chance at happiness, congratulations. You've landed yourself in the weakest possible position. But when you become the man who has options, who knows there are women interested, who understands he can choose, then you become the prize. And when a woman sees that a man has choices, guess what? She automatically wants to compete for his attention. Because now, you're not the one trying to conquer her. She's trying to impress you. And that's when the tables turn for good. Now you don't even care if a woman ignores you. Because at the end of the day, She's not your priority anymore. And ironically, that's exactly what makes women chase you for the rest of your life. Because now, you're no longer the guy who's always available, predictable, and desperate for attention. Now you're the guy who puts himself first. And trust me, that is the only kind of man women truly value. So tell me, are you going to stay the guy who whines about being disrespected, snatching up any emotional crumbs she tosses your way? Or are you going to grab the reins and take charge? The choice is yours. Now you know why you were rejected, ignored, and treated like a disposable accessory. Now you see that your mistake was caring too much. That the more you chase her, the more she runs. That the harder you try to be noticed, the more invisible you become. And most important of all, you realize that true power lies in detachment. It's now up to you. You can forget everything I said here and keep fooling yourself, believing that insisting, showing affection, and being a nice guy will magically make this woman come running back into your arms. Or you can do something different. You can apply strategic silence, cut off all contact, and focus obsessively on yourself until you become the kind of man who never has to chase any woman again. And ironically, that's exactly when women start chasing you. Because you're no longer the always available, always desperate, always begging for attention type. Now you're the one who puts yourself first. And trust me, that's the only kind of man women truly cherish. Now tell me, have you ever been in a situation like this? Ever been snubbed and managed to flip the script? Drop a comment below. And if this content helped you out, you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Because here, I teach you to never again be played for a fool in relationships. See you in the next video. We're in this together.